like you. Okay, I don't have the gartal on me. I'll sing like that. Just make me the co-host, not the host. Okay, maybe I'll make you the. There is no. Okay, I'll make you the host after I share the screen. Jayo Radha Madhava कुंज बिहारी जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदा नंदना ब्रज जन रंजना यशोदा नंदना ब्रज जन रंजना जमुना तीरावन चारी जमुना तीरावन चारी जयो राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जयो राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जना वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दना व्रज जनरञ्जना यशोदा नन्दना व्रज जनरञ्जना जमुनातीरावनचारी जमुनातीरावनचारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा 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 हरे हरे जय राधा दामोदर श्री राधे जय ललिता विशाखा श्री राधे जय निताय गौर सुंदर गौरा हरि जय जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद निताय गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल गौर हरि बोल happy to be here. Hare Krishna everyone. So we come to Krishna today's verse, which is reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, 7th chapter, verse number 16. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayaudirayet Nashtaprayasya Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavate Sevaya भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टकी. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th Canto, Chapter 7, Verse 16. तत्तु कलस्य दीर्घत्वात् स्थितवान् मातुस्तिरोधते ऋषीन् अनुगृहतं मां न आधु न अधुनापि अजाहत् स्मृतिः. I don't know if somebody wants to recite. I'll recite one more time. तत्तु कलस्य दीर्घत्वात् स्थितवान् मातुस्तिरो दधे ऋषीन् अनुगृहीतं मां न आधुनापि अजाहत् स्मृतिः.
तत्तु कलस्य दीर्घत्वात् स्त्रीत्वान् मातुष्टरो दधे ऋषिमनुगृहीतं मम नाधुनाप्याजतः स्मृतिः.
Thank you,
तत्
Krishna.
तत् तत्तु कलस्य दीर्घत्वात् श्रित्वान्मातुस्तिरोधते ऋषीणानुगृहीतं मां नाधुनाप्यजहत् स्मृतिः.
Very nice. Thank you, Gari Krishna Prabhu. Anyone else? Okay. Word to word. That instruction on religion and knowledge. Two, indeed, kalasya of time. Dirghatvat because of the longness. Stritvat because of being a woman. Matu of my mother. Tirodadhe disappeared. Rishina by the sage. Anugrihitam being blessed. Mam me. Na not adhuna today. Api even ajahat left smriti the memory of Narad Muni's instructions. Translation by Shabad ki jai. Because of the long duration of time that has passed, and because of her being a woman and therefore less intelligent, my mother has forgotten all those instructions. But the great sage Narad blessed me, and therefore I could not forget them. Purport by Shabad ki jai. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse 32, the Lord says, Mam hi partha vipashritya ye api shupapayonayah suyo vaishya satha shudraste api yanti param gatim. O son of Pritha, those who take shelter in me, though they be low-born, women, vaishyas, merchants, or shudras, workers, can approach the supreme destination. The word Papa Yoni refers to those who are less than shudras. But even though a woman may not be a Papa Yoni, because of being less intelligent, she sometimes forgets devotional instructions. For those who are strong enough, however, there is no question of forgetting. Women are generally attached to material enjoyment, and because of this tendency, they sometimes forget devotional instructions. But if even a woman practices devotional service strictly, according to the rules and regulations, the statement by the Lord Himself that she can return to Godhead, Te api yanti param gatim, is not at all astonishing. One must take shelter of the Lord and rigidly follow the rules and regulations. Then, regardless of what one is, one will return home back to Godhead. Prahlad Maharaj's mother was more concerned with protecting the child in the womb and was very anxious to see her husband return. Therefore, she could not consider very seriously the sublime instructions of Narad Muni. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyan Anjana Shalakaya Chakshur Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamahiyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kantha Radha Kanta Namastute. Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishbhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priyai. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा शिवसादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नमामि विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्ता स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Very happy to be here. Thank you for giving me the August Association. So we continue to read from Canto 7, which is called as the Science of God. Chapter 7, which is called as what Prahlad learned in the womb. Verse 16, and the translation is, because of the long duration of time that has passed, and because of her being a woman, and therefore less intelligent, my mother has forgotten all those instructions. But the great sage Narad blessed me, and therefore I could not forget them. Okay, so when I read this verse, it's like different kinds of, emotions went through my heart and head. But let's see what unfolds. So, this verse is spoken by Prahlad Maharaj to his friends, and he's trying to tell them that what he learned as a child inside the mother's womb, when Narad Muni was instructing both him and his mother. So he's setting the scene for those instructions, that what he learned. But first of all, he's making sure that everyone is aware that who he learned it from. Okay, I find that very important, that okay, I can be saying anything out in the world, but it could be coming from my mental speculation. But it is important to quote the reference, that who we actually hear it from, who are we quoting. In medicine, there is a practice called, I think most of you would know, something called EBM. EBM means evidence-based medicine. Like if you are proposing a diagnosis or treatment plan, you have to back it up with some sort of an evidence. You cannot be like just relying on your experience. That's not enough. Okay, so I say that Prabhupada has taught us something called EBS. EBS is evidence-based spirituality. So I usually say that we need to have an evidence. And the evidence comes from three places, right? Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. And both are given equal importance. So he is making sure that whatever he's going to say is being told to him by Narad Muni. This is also a symbol of humility, because we are not relying on our own petty experience, right? We learned this from Bhagavad Gita as well, when Arjun is bewildered and can't decide. He has given 5 reasons to Krishna not to fight, in first and second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and then finally he says that Shishyaste aham mam prapannam. So I am surrendering to you. So over there we usually discuss that how to make a decision and what is the best way to make a decision, right? Here, that's it's a sign of humility, that we are not, he is not going to rely on his own experience or his own experiments, but actually heard it from a authority. So what we can say is, okay, he also heard, his mother also heard, but how come he is practicing Krishna consciousness and his mother is not practicing Krishna consciousness? Both heard the same thing from the same person at the same time, in the same place, right? But how come one is hearing and the other is not hearing? So you can please share. This can be a very nice discussion class. There's always an external reason and an internal reason. So externally, why? Because Prabhupada is explaining this is an external reason. Because being a woman and therefore less intelligent. So what does it mean? What does it mean? That does Prabhupada really mean that if somebody is a woman, automatically it means that this person is less intelligent and therefore kind of discounted or discarded from given an opportunity to progress in Krishna consciousness as a person with a male body will be given? No, because that's why Prabhupada is giving the reference. Mam hi partha vipashrita. Ashrita means shelter. And Mam hi means me, only me. Partha is Arjun's name, O son of Pritha. One who takes shelter in me, whoever it could be. Te apishu papa yonaha. So yona, this word yona comes many times in Bhagavad Gita, right? Yona, I was looking at this verse earlier. I was seeing that how Prabhupada has translated papa yona, because yoni means species and yoni also means literally the womb or the container in which the fetus is formed. So Papa Yoni means the container or the fetus or the womb which is of lower grade. So Prabhupada has translated Papa Yoni as born of a lower family. Okay, so that's how Prabhupada. There is another verse in Bhagavad Gita where Yoni comes, fifth chapter. I want to say this verse 22. Yehi samsparsha jab hoga, dukha yonaya evate. So dukha yoni. Dukha yonaya evate. Adi antavant kanteya na teshu ramate budha. So say there it says this yehi samsparsha jab hoga. So whatever uh, enjoyment comes because of the touch of the senses and the sense objects, dukkha yoni. So dukkha yoni over there is explained as that in the womb of that enjoyment, happiness is taking birth. Dukkha yonaya evate. So same happiness is actually getting ready the platform for distress later because of the touch of sense and sense objects. So what I'm trying to emphasize here is Papa Yoni, but Prabhupada is making sure that woman may not be papayoni means she's not born in a low family or somewhere which is a family of non-devotees. She may not be, but she's less intelligent, right? But because of being less intelligent, and that too she sometimes forgets, not all the time. So this is not for all women. This is not for does not mean that a woman is born in a family which is not of devotees, but it means that if we literally understand, a woman is of less intelligence. So I was like, what is the function of intelligence? Anybody? We have the function of the mind is like thinking, feeling, willing. Function of the ego, also identity. What is the function of the intelligence? Why is intelligence being made?
According to Kapila Dev in the third canto, he says the functions of intelligence are doubt, apprehension, misapprehension, and sleep.
Very nice. Very thank you. So Prabhupada explains function of intelligence, as I understand, is to be able to discriminate, like what to do, what not to do, to be able to discriminate. Right? That is so less intelligence means that not having that strong of an ability to discriminate what to do, what not to do. Uh, Now, I was saying, is there a fact in this statement that women are less intelligent? If we look outside of devotional service, this is not in the devotional realm. I'm talking about, I said in the beginning that there's an external explanation, there's an internal explanation. So, external explanation, women is been said here for the sake of discussion, okay? That the power to discriminate what to do, what not to do in terms of choosing Krishna consciousness or maybe choosing something other than Krishna consciousness is not very strong. So, is there an evidence in the society where we learn this that it is like that? So, I was thinking that if you ever go to shop, okay, you ever go to shop for jewelry, or you ever go to shop for clothes, or ever go to shop for shoes, in proportion to the display of the mannequin, which is whose designs, who in the world, who's been worked to dress more, who's been worked to dress more, a man or a woman? What is your observation in this world? Who is it the man who is like the fashion designers are like dressing them more, or is it like the woman body? Who are they? Like there's some famous designers across the world. Who are they usually? There is something in the chat, I think. Woman, Jambavati Mataji. Thank you. Right, even if you look at the closet of a young girl, I have a girl and a boy, right? Or Yashdev Prabhu has a girl or a boy. Right, so you look at the collection of clothes that a girl will have and the collection and the patterns of clothes as a boy will have, even as a child. Generally, the natural inclination is to look more pretty, because women are more pretty, let's be fair, than men. But they look more to enhance. That's like the investment of the intelligence of is much more in that kind of a category. Okay, that's an external factor. Unless what happens, this woman comes in contact with Krishna consciousness and takes it up seriously. She takes it up seriously. In Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a sannyasi, right? Sannyasi means that he does not even allow the woman to touch his feet while bowing down. A woman has to do it from far away. But then he's worshipping. The best kind of worship is Gopi Bhartu Pad Kamalyo Das Dasanudas. This is like the gopis are the most exalted devotees. Prabhupada Sukhdev Goswami has taken time to translate the prayers by Queen Kunti, who is a woman, right? There is mention of Draupadi, there is mention of Mother Sati. Or in terms of taking sannyas, any example of a woman who has taken sannyas in our sampradaya, Gaudiya Vaishnava sampradaya? There's so many men, but any woman that you know of who has taken sannyas and has disciples and is walking? Jahanva Mataji, right? Jahanva Mataji, Nityananda Prabhu's wife. When Nityananda Prabhu left for taking sannyas order, she also took sannyas, and she was walking with thousands of disciples, preaching the cult of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it's a possibility. So it is very encouraging, depending on what a woman practicing Krishna consciousness chooses to see in this world. Okay, both options are available. It's not that Prabhupada is the only sannyasi that gave Brahmin Diksha to the women. If you go to India, it's very strict. Okay, I was in Krishna Balaram Mandir. It says no woman is allowed to do direct pujari service. They can cook, they can make the garland, they can make jewelry, they can work on the deity dresses, but coming in front and offering bhoga or doing the deity worship directly, I didn't, until you go to my temple in Bangalore, which is revolutionary. It is not very common. In some temples, the women are not even allowed to enter at some times of the some at certain periods. Right, in South India, in Kerala, what is the temple? I'm forgetting the Guruvayur temple. Right, so there's so many rules and regulations, but Srila Prabhupada did not discriminate. Okay, so even though he is translating it as O son of Pritha, those who take shelter in me, though they may be low-born, women, Vaishyas, or Shudras can approach the supreme destination. But he's preaching that if you become serious in your practice of Krishna consciousness, and if you strictly follow the rules and regulations and make Krishna as the goal of your life, then it doesn't matter whether it's a man or a woman, because the soul has no such identity. So this is the internal explanation. Because acharyas are not going to tell us something which is not a fact. It is a fact that the women do have a tendency to get distracted by something else other than Krishna consciousness, because of them having we can say less intelligent. But Prabhupada has mentioned many times that the innocence of a child, like the child needs protection, right? The child, we cannot let the 5-year-old go and run and cross the road by itself. Needs hand holding. Unless and until there is a shift in the consciousness, then it is a different ballgame altogether. And Prabhupada is explaining that how Prahlad Maharaj's woman was considered to be of low intelligence here, which made her forget. It's not that it's lost, she forgot. What was the reason? The reason is because she was very much worried about protecting the child in the womb, and was very much anxious to see her husband to come back from his austerities. But if the consciousness was that, okay, let me focus on my Krishna consciousness, it's different. It's a different what do you say? Then it is a different caliber of understanding of spiritual science. Okay, that's one way of understanding this verse. I'll pause here if there's any discussion or question or concern, clarification that might have come up. Okay, so the two things I said in this verse is that first is Prahlad Maharaj is giving evidence as to who he heard it from. And then he's saying, even though me and my mother heard it at the same time, from the same person at the same place, she forgot, I remember. Why? Because of her being of less intelligence. Why? Because she was more concerned about protecting me and waiting for my father to return. But I was more concerned about, I was hearing Narad Muni more diligently, more attentively. And that is why I got I got more remembrance. Okay. Any questions? Then I'll go to the part two. But any questions, reflections, realizations, corrections for this part?
Hare Krishna, Mother Kishori.
Hi, Krishna Jamati
All
Mataji.
glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Goes to Prabhupada.
I don't envy you I do not envy you giving class on this particular text today. Hare Krishna. It's so controversial, but
What
you
is
are
the
handling it very
controversy?
well. Thank you.
Yeah, but what is the
The
controversy?
controversy is, well, just that particular verse. Women are less intelligent than men. Just that whole premise, if you will,
If
is
we
very
don't understand it the
controversial.
way Prabhupada wants to explain it, right? Right, Mataji? If we don't understand the way Prabhupada wants to explain it.
Sure.
But Prabhupada's heart was like equal. If you read the book, I read few chapters of this book on Yamuna Mataji. Um, that how Prabhupada, when he was going to get, when he was cooking for the marriage ceremony in New York, Yamuna Mataji was, he asked her to cook with him. And she said it was so hot and she was so tired that she had never cooked like that in her life. She didn't even know what she was doing. In the middle of the day, she wanted to take a smoking break. So she asked Prabhupada, I want to go and take a smoking break. And Prabhupada didn't judge her. So he said he didn't give any long instructions. He didn't stop her. He just said that it will be better if we maintain the purification. But he didn't give long instructions. And later on, the same person became Yamuna Mataji and gave us so much. She left behind so much legacy in our own movement, right? So if Prabhupada was to discriminate that, oh, this is an American woman, low birth, no culture, living with a man without marriage, smoking cigarette, where is the opportunity? Right? What he saw was that this person is sent to me by Krishna and I need to take care of this person. So the Srila Prabhupada is trying to actually take care of us. I take it as a safeguard that don't let your intelligence dwindle because there is a tendency because of being in the body of a woman. There's a tendency. So don't take precaution, right?
I understand that. But it also brings into question the whole argument, which is a big issue right now within ISKCON, whether or not women can be gurus.
Yeah,
And
so okay.
yeah, go on. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
That's the whole argument, whether or not women should be gurus within ISKCON. Some say yes and some say no. those that say no seem to have the philosophy that if that were the case, that women have to be married. I don't understand that, but those are some of the philosophical points, or some of the arguments that you're hearing these days.
Right. Right. We can take our practice of Krishna consciousness in any direction, but there is a saying in English which saves me a lot of times. And we are not sitting here to discuss that whether woman can be a guru or not, because if you actually look at our sampradaya, we can look at our sampradaya from many angles. Who is Srila Prabhupada's guru? Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada? Who is Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada's guru? Yes, please finish the Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. Who is Gaur Kishore Das Babaji? No, Bhaktisiddhanta was initiated by Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj was initiated by who? Are you writing in the chat?
No, I am silent and pleading ignorance.
Okay, Tarika Prabhu.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj was initiated by what's our parampara? Bhakti Vinod Thakur? Bhakti Vinod.
Gorka,
Huh?
you're asking who initiated Gorka Shore Das Babaji?
Yeah, I'm asking about our parampara.
Jagannath Das Babaji?
Bhakti Vinod Thakur, right? Bhakti Vinod Thakur was initiated by who? Jagannath Das Babaji. Now, if you look at that, there is a mixture of Siksha and Diksha. Okay, Bhakti Vinod Thakur did not literally take initiation from Jagannath Das Babaji. He's a Siksha Guru. But we actually have him in our parampara. So there's a mixture. So Siksha Guru, Diksha Guru in our parampara is not much of a difference. We give the equal importance. Right? So in that way, we have so many, women devotees in our own life. I'm sure each one of us have met so many women devotees in our life who have taken care of us and given us siksha in practice of Krishna consciousness. So the main agenda of this talk is not to discuss whether a woman can give initiation or not. If it is important for somebody, then go ahead at the organizational level. But it is definitely not my level to even talk. Okay, what are the consideration, what they do. But all I know is that in my own practice of Krishna consciousness, this is a kind of a verse that Srila Prabhupada is telling, and that Prahlad Maharaj is bringing forth, that Sukdev Goswami has given us to be cautious. So it's a caution. Right? It's a caution that, okay, there is a tendency, so be more careful. And it's actually covered with a lot of affection and care. I see it that way. It's a verse which is filled with hope, not filled with judgment or criticism, because that's what Prabhupada showed in his organization. He did not discriminate. Actually the devotees around him wanted to discriminate, right? When this prayer came out, Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami, the record came out in that book. Yamuna Mataji's, she was journaling. It's a collection of her journals too. That the tape was sent to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada was in Vrindavan when this Govindam Adipurusham was recorded. But some of her god brothers did not show it to Prabhupada for a long time because the lead singer was a woman, was Yamuna Mataji. So their understanding was that a woman cannot be a lead singer. A sannyasi must not hear a woman's voice singing. This was their understanding. Until Prabhupada asked one day that where is that tape played? And when Prabhupada, heard the tape, the recording of Govindam Adipurusham, the one that we play every morning in front of Radha Damodar, he heard, his eyes were filled with tears, and his heart was filled with gratitude, and he made it a proclamation that in every ISKCON center across the whole world during Darshanarti, this has to be played. You see how powerful a pure devotee is, that it doesn't matter what one is. But at the level of our conditioned life, there is a need to be careful. Because I gave you the reference that if you go out, it's mostly the jewelry shops. They're not selling women's jewelry, right? Or the clothes or shoes or so many things. So it's the women who are more attracted to this naturally. But we don't have to become like that. There's nothing wrong in it. I'm not trying to say that there's something wrong in a woman who wants to dress up nicely or anything. No, the intention is more important than the action. What is the intention? The intention, if the intention is to become more Krishna conscious, fine. But if the intention is not other than Krishna consciousness, it's not fine, because it is entangling. Okay, so it is now. Come on, like we have at least our sampradaya. I have seen only this our sampradaya, Gaudiya Vaishnava sampradaya, where a woman can be like the can be the lead pujari, can be the lead whatever a man is doing. We are so indebted to. Can you please remind me the name of the Mataji who was managing the cows all by herself in Gita Nagari? Tarkar Prabhu?
Mother
Uh,
Kalini.
Mother Kolini, yeah. See, those times were very difficult, right? Every time Paijata tells me, or Bali Prabhu used to tell me about Mother Kolini, or Ekara Prabhu used to tell me, I never met her, but their time with her, I feel very indebted to her, that she held the things together so that in future there can be growth. There was every reason for them to just give up and go to more comfort in their family. But holding the things together at Gitanagri was done by Mother Kolini in our own, family, for to say. Uh, okay, thank you, Jamavati Mataji, for bringing it up. Any other question, clarification?
Hare Krishna, thank you
Hare
very
Krishna.
much for your class thus far. Um, this controversy about male and female intelligence is, I think, another factor that contributes to the controversy is the fact that we don't actually see clear evidence that a man is necessarily more intelligent than a woman. We see that women are, they demonstrate equal or greater intelligence than men in many cases, and so I'm inclined to believe that because we can't discount the statements of Shastra and the Acharyas, who all agree, as Krishna himself describes in Bhagavad Gita, women are described as less intelligent. But I think that it is a factor that in the Kali Yuga, the intelligence of people in general is greatly diminished. And I think that men in Kali Yuga are not comparable to men in other ages. That the intelligence of the average male is greatly reduced. So that we don't see actually examples of intelligent men to the extent that would have been true in another time. Everyone's intelligence is diminished, but for men particularly, and especially now in this age, no one is following any regulative principles or any kind of purificatory process and so they are particularly unqualified. So if there is innately any capacity for greater intelligence in males, it does not get a chance to manifest. So we don't see that on the whole, on average, there is a difference between men and women. It can be seen, as you have pointed out, that there's a difference in the way the modes of nature works on men and women, that they have a different set of values, that seems to be somehow associated with the gender, and is not something that is imposed by environmental factors. That even if you have children who grow up in isolation, the boys and girls will still have differences.
Yeah.
Females will have a certain type of interest, males will have a certain type of interest, and that can be changed, but there is innately, with different types of body, there is a certain type of inclination. So the position of Shastra is that for women, the way the modes of nature works, the set of values, the inclinations, diminishes the intelligence for the purpose of the cultivation of spiritual life. Not necessarily, though, but of course, in bhakti it does not apply. But the point we're discussing here today is that, and Krishna is explaining that for purposes of bhakti, it doesn't matter what
Correct.
your background may be, but otherwise the modes of nature act differently, and there are different types of intelligence. Shastra describes different types of intelligence. Different words are used. There is buddhi, there is meda. Generally speaking, intelligence is a type of power of discrimination. It's the power of judgment. But there are different types of intelligence, and different ways in which intelligence is applied. But it's inescapable that throughout Shastra and the words of the Acharyas, there is a difference described between the intelligence of men and women. That the intelligence of women is said to be less. It does seem to be partly a function of how the modes of nature are working, that whatever intelligence is there is applied differently because there's a different set of values. But once again, in Kali Yuga, we don't really see a distinct imbalance in the level of any kind of intelligence between men and women. There are extremely intelligent women, and there are particularly unintelligent men. So I think that gives fuel to a lot of the controversy. It's no longer clear that there is a distinction. But I do believe that there was a time when the distinction was much more pronounced, that it could be clearly discerned that on average males would have greater intelligence. No longer the case. And that's true for so many aspects of character and nature. Everyone is greatly diminished in this age. Anyway, what is important is that for purposes of Krishna consciousness, it doesn't make a difference what your bodily background is, whether you are born less than a Shudra, or a woman, a man, whatever it may be, it absolutely doesn't matter. And there
Yeah.
are countless examples of individuals from every type of background and every gender becoming extraordinary devotees.
Be nice. Thank you, Tarka Prabhu.
Hare
Um,
Krishna.
Hi, Krishna. I don't know who's Zoom user. Please unmute yourself. Hare Krishna.
Hey, Manvantara. This is Manvantara.
Oh, Krishna,
Sorry.
Manvandar,
Very
Manvandar.
bold about that. Just a couple of points, because I know you have to go on and it's already been mentioned.
It's fine. It's fine.
But on this topic of women is being less intelligent, I mean, it is a fact. Women are less intelligent. But the point is that in the dharma of, household affairs and so forth, there's this, it's already been said, this rope of affection that masks this intelligence. This rope of affection is not logical at all. It's just based on love and affection, and it doesn't affect your judgment. So because women are the primarily the gatherer of households, it's just generally this fact. So what we need to remember, though, is that when Srila Prabhupada was dictating his um his books and purports, he also says that he receives instructions from Krishna, and he writes them down and he presents it to us. And so when you believe that, you also have to understand where this instruction is coming from. I mean, Prabhupada said it in his purports, and he said it more than once, that women are less intelligent and they need to be protected. And it's not just coming from Prabhupada. Prabhupada said he receives instructions from Krishna. And this whole notion of women being less intelligent than women in ISKCON and trying to become gurus and so forth. I mean, I have heard classes by women Matajis who are striving to be like a guru. And someone asked this Mataji, I'm not going to mention any names, about her son, and apparently her son is not a law-abiding devotee. And but the point wasn't based on that. But what the point brought out was that, like Sri Adwaita had 5 sons that weren't even devotees. But
Yeah.
but the point here, that when I heard her response to the question, but because she was bound by the rope of affection for her son, she made every excuse to validate his behavior. And it was in class. And it was like, you see that rope of affection, it just revealed how unintelligent she is. She Because she was still roped by that bound by that rope of affection. And mother Kunti said the same thing to Krishna. Please let me, because she was bound by the rope of affection by so many families. Her adopted family, her husband's family, her own father, and family. So she was like, please let that rope of affection go. So it's just like how Asastria, when he kills, he's not culpable to the sin of killing, because that's his duty. And a
Yeah.
priest, when he kills for offering, he's not bound by that, by the sin of whatever he's offering in the fire yagya. That's his duty. He's not culpable for those sins. And a woman, because she's bound by affection, her that makes her stupid. It makes her less intelligent. She because she can't make really good judgments, and no one can when you're bound by that. But because a woman that is her, I hate to say dharma, but when you look at comparatively at the gopis who gave up dharma, they gave up this notion of my husband, my dad, my, what are people going to think of me? They gave up all of that for Krishna. So the gopis are the most intelligent women. So it's not so much women specifically, but because women in general are head of households, domestic affairs, bound by this rope of affection, that they're less intelligent as a group because of that. But it's no harm, no foul. It's the dharma that you're in. But when you give it up, when you seriously give it up, like the gopis did, then you're no longer, you know, through bhakti bound, bound. And like Mother Kunti. So that's all I really wanted to share, because it's like people get carried away with the whole material platform of sex, mother, women, men, the kind of thing. And it's really not, it's all material. You can argue it in a spiritual circle like this, but it's just right back on the material platform, because it's not about the body. It's the consciousness, and in this case, this whole guru in ISKCON situation is the bodily concept. So you have to think about the rope of affection and what you've given up to be associated with Krishna. Sorry to interrupt. Haribol.
So nice. Thank you so much for that, Mother Manvantara. So the other thing I wanted to say was that it's this particular less intelligence has nothing to do with the functionality in the society. What is I heard Bhakti Vasudev Maharaj's class once when he had come to Gita Nagari, and I think most of us know that how much like he is behind. Like you need to have a college degree for somebody to approach him for asking initiation. So he was saying that in America, 2/3 of the positions are held by women in all kinds of occupations. And after he said that, I started observing it actually, because before that I was observing. So 2/3 of the positions in America in all occupations, well, I don't know if it is true for the occupation of being a truck driver or a mechanic, or I don't know, but majority of the occupations which require intelligence are held by women. So I started observing it, and it actually there's a fact that there are more women physicians, there are more women nurses, there are more women. I work in the hospital, so respiratory therapist, pharmacy. Everywhere I see like there are more. And in pediatrics, we don't even have any, hardly any male. So taking care of the sick child, and that is that's a use of an intelligence in that level. I think what we lack, and it and Prabhupada has validated it too, is a structure of varnashram. That's what we need. The other thing I wanted to say was that here Krishna is saying, which may apparently look that low-born woman, Vaishya, Shudra, but later in Bhagavad Gita, in the very next chapter, in 10th chapter, he talks about his own qualities in a woman, right? In a woman, he is patience. What is that verse? Fortitude, intelligence, fine speech. What's that verse? Does anyone remember? I was thinking of that verse that Krishna himself is actually talking. Which verse is the Jambavati Mataji 10:34? Yeah, here. So here this is Krishna explains about his 87 opulences in 10th chapter Bhagavad Gita, right? And he says, among women, I am fame, fortune, fine speech, memory, intelligence, steadfastness, and patience. We don't hear Krishna throughout Bhagavad Gita saying, like, okay, he says among strong men, I'm Indra, or I'm among the bearer of the law, I am Yamraj. So he's giving specific particular scenarios, but not in general that in a woman as a class what he is. So so Krishna, there's no discount of being practicing Krishna consciousness, whether a man or a woman. And plus, Tarka Prabhu also made a point that in general, the intelligence to practice spirituality is diminished overall. Okay, the intelligence to exploit material nature for one's own sense gratification is enhancing, but the intelligence to practice Krishna consciousness is dwindling overall, whether male or female. Another thing I was thinking was two more things before we conclude, that in Bhagavad Gita, when Arjun is giving reasons, maybe I can pull up the slide, is giving reasons to Krishna for not fighting. One of the reasons he gives is the family culture will be destroyed, right? The Varna Shankara. So there is this family culture will be destroyed. So so family culture will be destroyed. What is the reason behind that? That when the elders of the society are gone, the community, the woman will become contaminated because they'll not be protected, and from the contamination, Varna Shankara will come about, or unwanted population. And then from unwanted population, there will be the havoc in the community project, or there'll be no offering of oblations to our ancestors. So there also the purity of a woman, the protection of a woman, and the structure of a varna ashram dharma is playing a pivotal role. And Prabhupada stated this when he was interviewed. I heard Prabhupada's interview on the airport. I don't remember correctly whether it was Texas or Chicago airport, but he was interviewed. It's there at the airport by a woman reporter, and she asked Prabhupada directly that why the women in your movement are so subdued. Why do they have to cover up, dress up a certain way? Their heads are covered. Why they have to be home and give birth to children and take care? So why are they subdued? So Prabhupada said, I'm going to bring forth two scenarios in front of you. He said, there is a woman who falls in love with the man. She gets pregnant. There is no marriage. The man goes away. Okay. And then the woman, same woman, now goes and begs to the government, give me protection, give me whatever. This woman in an infant and children, there's something called WIC in America, right? Women, infant, children, that give me uh, money to buy formula, give me money to buy diapers, give me money to buy grocery, give me health insurance, give me. So she goes and begs the government. That's one scenario. And then he said the other scenario is in his movement, in ISKCON, he is trying to get his disciples married so that the mind is calm for practice of spirituality. And then the woman is protected by a first class husband. And in that protection, her fine qualities are exhibited. Because if the woman is protected by a first class husband, the fine qualities get exhibited. And she is taking care of fine children are born, fine, the children are contributing to the society, there is peace and prosperity, and everything looks more aligned. Which situation is more helpful? Even forget about spirituality, in the contribution of the growth of the society, which particular scenario is helpful? Prabhupada puts this in front of the reporter. Of course, she doesn't reply because of her whatever false ego, but her silence is an answer, right? That the second situation is more helpful. So this particular verse is more of a societal hierarchy, but has nothing to do with the practice of Krishna consciousness. Because in Krishna consciousness, everyone is given equal opportunity. But if we are aware of our constitutional nature and conditioned nature, right? Krishna mentions about this 2 times in Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter and 9th chapter. We have a constitutional nature and a conditional nature. So if we can align our conditional nature to reach our constitutional nature, then it is a sign of intelligence. Okay. So I think we are at 8 o'clock. Hari Prabhu, I'll make you the host. So I'll welcome any concluding statements, contributions, or I don't know if we look at the Aarti now.
Mother Prem Kishore.
Hi Krishna, Jambavati, Mataji.
I'm asking this for myself. I am totally terrified of a young woman in our society who happens to maybe pick up the Bhagavad Gita and reads, or, the Srimad Bhagavatam and reads this statement. What are the words to tell that person, that particular woman? That's for me, that's the crux of this whole situation. What are the words to pacify a response to that person who is curious about our path, considering taking it up, but then read something like this?
It's interesting you asked that. So I have a 14-year-old daughter, right? And when I read Bhagavad Gita with her, she points out that why Prabhupada is writing everywhere him, he, why is he not writing she, her? Why always him? Soul is him, everybody is him. She said, I don't want to read it because I want to see him writing she and her and like that. So it's like, it was for me coming from India, when I started my Krishna consciousness, it was not even a question. I'm like, okay, whatever is whatever. But she actually pointed it out to me. So then we had a talk that you see that this is not the question of like a particular gender that is addressed to. Okay, that was with Isha. But then to address your question, Mataji, the very fact that this verse has been explained will be explained by you to a young girl should mean that how much of an acceptance it is there already. She's not approaching this young girl. I'm imagining and thinking that you are the one explaining this to her, right? So if you're the one explaining this to her, you are already setting an example that it has nothing to do with the practice of Krishna consciousness. So already have traveled so many miles and refuted so many misconceptions. So you should be in a good place if any one of us, out of any one of us sitting here, to give that sort of confidence and encouragement, and distinguish the distinguishing points that what is it about. I don't know if it makes sense.
That does make sense. So what I'm hearing you say then is perhaps just simply making the distinction between the spiritual and material.
Yeah, but because we have 8 more chapters of Bhagavad Gita before this verse comes up. And even a verse before this, 931, I can't share my screen now because I'm not the host anymore. But if you read the purport of 931, I'm sorry, 930, I think. Apichesa Duracharo. I'll read it out. Prabhupada starts the purport. When a living entity is conditioned, he has two kinds of activities. One is conditional and the other is constitutional. Okay, so already he is saying that when a living entity is conditioned, there are two kinds of activities, conditional and constitutional. And then he goes to explain what is conditional, what is constitutional. And this is also explained by Krishna in second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that we have two kinds of nature, conditional and constitutional, or Swadharma and Sanatan Dharma. Swadharma is according to one's own Varna and Ashram, but that's not superior. The point is we use our Swadharma to reach to our Sanatan Dharma, which is constitutional nature. So I would not pick this verse up, first verse, to, as a selling point of Bhagavad Gita. We have to understand what was said before to come to this particular verse. Make sense?
Yes, thank you. I always say that, and I'm not the one to do it, but there should be a book, a handbook on how to answer difficult questions such as this.
Certainly. We should do it together, all of us. Certainly.
Yes.
I agree.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you so
Krishna.
much, though, for your
Thank you.
class.
Okay, if there's no other reflection, contribution. Hi,
Hare
Chakra
Krishna.
Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Dhanava Pranam. All glories to you. All glories to
August.
Prabhupada. Yeah.
Prabhu, you're muted. Hi, Chakra Prabhu.
Okay. All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. Like I was saying, basically speaking, there are a lot of things that seem controversial, but it's because we don't go in the deeper aspect of things. It's like when we take the elements, the material elements, there are some of it that the male body is very pronounced, and others that the female body is more pronounced. Let me give you an example. It's like when we say strength, when we talk about strength, generally speaking, we say men are stronger than women. So does that mean that every man is stronger than every woman? No. There are some women who can just grab a man and beat him like anything. But it's the majority of men. It's usually we talk about the majority of it. So if you take a cross section of men and a cross section of women, majority of the men might be physically be stronger than the women. So that is why we generally speak that men are stronger than women. All right. Now, when we talk of beauty, we say women are more beautiful than men. But does that mean every woman is beautiful than all the other men, all men? Don't we have ugly women? So but when we take a cross section of women and a cross section of men, we realize that the women are always beautiful, but because that is the nature of the feminine body, right? That is the nature. Now, when we go to the other aspect, the subtle aspect, on the subtle level, women are stronger in mind. The mind of women are stronger than men. And it has been proven. Because if, for instance, if there is a woman and a man in a room alone, and the woman wants to have an affair with with a man, the woman doesn't have to physically, do anything. All she has to do is to deliberate mentally, think about it. And the more they stay together and the woman is thinking about it, it will affect the man. And that is why it is cautioned that a brahmachari should not stay alone with a woman.
Oh, fire and butter. Okay. The woman is fire and the man
Okay.
is butter.
But you see, so mentally, women are stronger than men. Physically, men are stronger than women. Mentally, women are stronger than men. And then we go to the next level, the intellectual level, intelligence. Majority, when we speak of intelligence, that is how to use our intelligence to discriminate on certain things. Women operate more on emotional level than the intelligent level, right? And that's why women are more emotional than men. How many? If you take a cross section of women and a cross section of men, the women are more. A majority of the women are usually display more emotion than men. But when it comes to using the intelligent part, majority of men use more of their intelligence than women, right? And that doesn't prove that every man uses more of their intelligence than every woman, because some women are very, very intelligent, right? But this is the cross section of things. So when the scripture is talking about women not being intelligent, because when we go back in the ancient time, in the Varnashram system, I mean, women were always supposed to be what, the subordinates. They live in the house, they cook, they take care of the household, and it's the men that were supposed to go out and work and bring money and like that. All right. So even during that period, when the man brings money, everything was given to the woman because the woman is expert in taking care of the household.
Mhm.
You give that same thing to the man, and the man will mess up. He wouldn't know what to do. You get what I mean? And so sometimes the scripture will make a reference to a particular aspect of our existence. If we take it in general terms, like, oh, that's because the scripture is saying that women are not intelligent, then we'll go wrong, because we must understand the circumstances with what why the scripture is saying that the women are not intelligent. So many factors are put in place before that statement is made. But unfortunately, we take the raw statement and we want to just depend on the raw statement. Then we will go wrong. Because, look, frankly speaking, if even you are home with your wife, you realize that most of the time you will be taking some decision. Like, let me give you a practical example. When two men want to travel, this one will call the other one and say, "Hey, we'll travel tomorrow, or maybe we'll travel three days from now." Okay, then they agree they will travel, right?
Mhm.
But if later you ask them, what arrangements have you made? You realize that they've not made any arrangements. All they know is that they will travel. But if two women wants to travel,
Mhm.
the women later, if you ask the women, what arrangements have you made?
Mhm.
They've packed their stuff. How many underwears they will take for the traveling? How many shoes they will take for the traveling? What I mean, they are detailed. Women are very detailed. So the reason why I'm saying is that recently we were talking about myself and Sahadev and Jagannath. We were supposed to go to, I think, DC. No, someplace. I've forgotten the place. And we talked, myself, Sahadev, Jagannath. We called. Oh yeah, we'll go this time. We arranged the time that we'll go.
Mhm.
Then later on, Mother Chentamani called my wife and asked my wife that this traveling that these men are going, what arrangements have they made? So they discussed everything in detail. Then my wife started asking me, okay, so Prabhu, this where are you guys going to meet? And who is going to drive? And when she asked that question, practically speaking, the three of us, me, Jaganapani, and Sir, we have not practically not made any arrangement like that. Where we are supposed to meet, it was the women who made the arrangement for us. They did the detailed arrangement. So, I mean, the simple thing I'm trying to say is that women are very detailed, right?
Mhm.
When it comes to, the things on the mental plane, they are very detailed. Men are not. And that is the reason a woman can do too many things at the same time. Men cannot do two things at the same time. When a man is reading a book, all his concentration will be on the book.
Mhm.
If even a baby is in the house and the baby is asking him a question, immediately the man becomes distracted. But a woman can be absorbed in the book and be able to still direct the baby to do whatever is asking from the woman. Because women can do different chores at the same time, whereas men cannot do that. And this is scientifically proven. So, I mean, practically speaking, women are so powerful, but the unfortunate thing is the female body doesn't even know the power they have. That is the unfortunate thing. They are so powerful, but they don't know the power they have.
Mhm.
And this is very unfortunate. But immediately, you come to Krishna consciousness, then the women immediately begin to realize the power, the true power that they have. Because Krishna consciousness reveals to them how powerful they are. And somehow or the other, The unfortunate thing also is that even though the women are realizing the their true nature in Krishna consciousness, the men in Krishna consciousness becomes envious and they want to still suppress the women. So I mean, well, for instance, I've realized it. It's not just about if even you put the scriptures aside. Practically speaking, I've realized the true power of a woman.
Thank
And
you.
that is how we have to be very careful the way we deal with women, because they can help us to advance very quick. And if we don't take good care, the same people can can push us to fall down very quick, because we are in their hands. We are in their hands. So the power of women are very, 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 very unique. So, like I said, I don't see there's nobody that I preach to, whether a woman that I preach to, that will ever feel like she is not intelligent.
Right. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for
Hare Krishna.
your valuable insights. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Manchakalpatarubhyascha, Pasindubhyo evacha, Patitanam pavinebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namah. Nantakoti Vaishnavin ki jai, Shabapad ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Wonderful class.
Thank you. Hare Krishna Prabhu, you're the host, so if you want to go offline from YouTube.
Thank you, Mother Prem Kishore. All
Thank
glories
you.
to Srila Prabhupada. All
All
glories
glories
to
to
your
Prabhupada.
wonderful